Hey guys, welcome back to another Scratch tutorial video. This one is for beginners. Yeah, it's for beginners. I mean, if you're here and you want to have like a challenge, then probably pick a different video, because this one's strictly for beginners. This is just how to kind of understand some certain elements of Scratch, and you know, this will be a good introduction to some things. Alright, let's get started. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and yeah, so first we're going to delete the first sprite, and then paint the new sprite, and call it player. You can call it player on this little sprite tab here. And it really doesn't have to be that advanced of a character. All I'm going to do is create a little square. That's all I'm gonna make. Just a little square as a character. You can drag it into the middle like that, and now we have a little square character. And once again, it does not have to be advanced. It doesn't have to look pretty for your first project. We're gonna use that. Now we're gonna implement some simple movement controls. So drag a when flag clicked. You put at the start of every script in order for it to work when you press the flag. When this flag is flipped, drag a forever and put it there. For what forever does is it keeps looping the code you put in there forever. It'll do it forever. You grab an if, duplicate it 4 times, and then you want to go to sensing and key space pressed. So when we do this, if you press a key, you can pick any key you want, then the code inside this box will happen. So we're going to duplicate that 4 times and put it in each little diamond, trapezoid, whatever you want to call it here, and put it all in that code. So you can copy this code right here. Right now, in order for to have movement keys, we're going to want to do arrow keys. So let's go to if and do up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, and left arrow. This will make it so that when you press your arrow keys, we want it to move. But right now, if we press the flag and we press our arrow keys, nothing happens because we haven't put any code in the boxes here. All right. Then let's go to motion and drag out two change x and 2 change y coordinates. And what these are going to do is that we're going to put 1 in here. So when we press don't copy this, but when we press the up arrow, we will want it to change y position on it. Like, imagine this as a graph. Change the y position by a certain amount of pixels when we hold the up arrow down. So we're actually going to use this, and let's do 3 because I think that's a good speed, and let's test it. So if we press the up arrow, our character will go up slightly. Alright, let's drag another y, and in order for you to go back down by pressing the y, you have to do -3 because you're going -3 on the y axis. So if we press y and we press the down arrow, then we go down. If we press the up arrow, we go up. Alright, and then it's the same things with x. On the right arrow, you're going to want to do 3 because the right arrow is right on the x-axis, and we want to do 3, and then -3 on the left arrow because it's -3 on the x-axis. So as you can see, we have basic movement controls. You can make it faster by just changing the number, but make sure they're all the same numbers except for the negatives, because it will just look weird if you move different speeds going backward and forward. But anyway, right, okay, so go to backdrops and then go to this paint tab here, and let's make let's just say a black square right here, just a black square in the middle, and that will want to be our obstacle. So we don't want to go through this obstacle, but right now we can just go right through it. It's not very realistic. So in order to fix that, we're going to actually go into control and drag out one if, and then go into sensing and grab if touching color. And then what you're going to want to do is click this thing, go all the way down and press this, and drag your mouse here to go into the and then click on whatever color your thing is. It doesn't have to be black. Then drag the touching color into the if. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to duplicate this if 4 times. And you're going to want to, next you're going to want to kind of organize it. You don't want them to be touching, but you just kind of organize it like I am. You're going to want to duplicate one of these duplicate the up arrow, and then change it to a negative. So, and then put it in any one. So I duplicated this, added a negative at the start, and put it in the if touching color black, and then we just drag it into whichever one you want. Make sure when you do each one, it says if key up arrow, change Y by 3. When you have the if touching color black, make sure it's -3. And with the down arrow, change Y by -3. You're going to want to change the Y by 3. So it's like the opposite. So you're going to go like that. And then make sure when you do this one, you make sure you duplicate the X. You don't want the Y because then it will break. So you're going to want to do -3, and then you're going to want to do 3. I don't know if that makes sense, but you don't have to understand it right now. All you have to do is copy the code, and it will still give you an understanding on how Scratch works. So now if we start the code, you can see that we can walk around, but we can't go through the black area. It just doesn't work because it just doesn't work because we can't go through the black area. And if you got a sprite, if this cube is a sprite, you could either do the black thing or you could do if touching sprite right here. Alright, so now we have that done. Let's make a maze game where you have to navigate through the maze, but navigate through the maze and then get to the flag and go to the next level. So what we're going to want to do is drag the player right here to start. Let's just say this is the start of our maze, so we're going to drag the player right here. What we want to do is go to motion and go to, and it should already show the coordinates on the go to on where the player is. You can also see the coordinates right here. Sometimes this doesn't really work, so you might sometimes have to type in the coordinates. But if we drag into this when clicked, when we play, we can walk. When we hit play, we can walk around, but then when we hit play again, it goes back to the start. So that's really handy because you don't want people to start in the middle or inside something when they go to the next level. Okay, so next let's just go to the backdrops and make a quick level. It doesn't have to be very, like I said, it doesn't have to be very complicated. It just has to be the start of a level. It really doesn't have to look good. You can make it look good if you want. I love making things look good. If you see my projects, I'll put a link to my project, to my account page, but my Scratch account page. But if you can make stuff look really good, but it really doesn't have to be, especially when you're just beginning. I've been doing Scratch for many years. Like 5 or 6 years. So don't expect to be doing like super complicated projects right at the start. Alright, so now we can press play, and okay, actually, see, this is the first problem. We started inside a black box. So what we can do to fix this is either change the coordinates that it starts the player at, or we can just move this down just a tad. And that should fix the problem. Alright, now if we press play, it's not stuck, it doesn't sit in one spot, so we can we can move around. But we're enclosed in this area. This will be our maze. And remember, it doesn't have to be a hard maze for your first level. It shouldn't be a hard maze for your first level. So next, let's go in here and let's go to looks and then switch backdrop to backdrop 1. This is level 1 pretty much. So that when we start the game, it will set the level to the first level. So now we're going to go down and create a new sprite, paint the new sprite, or it doesn't have to be paint. You can use this search bar, and they have a selection of sprites that they have already picked for you. And let's make a green flag. Let's just make a green flag. What this will be is it will be pretty much the finish line. Remember, it really doesn't have to be pretty. It just can look like that. It doesn't have to change. It doesn't have to look like a realistic flag. And let's just put it right there, okay? What we want to do is when we touch the flag, we want to go to the next level. But first of all, I think the player is a little too big. So let's go to the looks on the player and go change size, or sorry, set size to set to 80% when we start this, so it will make it slightly smaller. And I can show you what happens when we do that. So if we press play, it will make us smaller because we set the size to 80%. All right, now let's go to let's drag in when flag is clicked, forever, and then an if, and then we want to go if touching sprite. So we are doing when the flag is clicked, forever, which means it checks forever. It checks all the time if you are touching the sprite 1, or let's call it the finish. Just to make our code a little neater. If touching finish, first of all, we want to duplicate this. So we want to when we go to the finish, we first want to go back to the starting line. Because we want to make it so that when we go to the next level, we're not in the middle of the level. There's a way where you can do it where it's a little more complicated, where you can make it teleport different places in the level. We'll get to that later. But just go to these coordinates, and we want to go to looks, and then just drag next backdrop. This will just do the next level. It will be pretty easy. That's all we have to do for this one. And then, so now if we create a new level, we can I'm just gonna duplicate this and then just add a little bit onto it. You can do this too, or you can create a new level, but make sure that this starting line stays there, because otherwise it won't work unless you have the new complex thing, which we haven't gone over yet. So I'm just going to make a little bit of a new level here. It won't be too complicated. Once again, it really doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to function, and I mean, you can make it prettier by the end of the project if you so desire. Alright, and what we're gonna do is, well, okay, so first of all, so if we go and we touch the flag, we have first of all, the first problem is that the flag doesn't go anywhere near. It literally doesn't change. And the second problem is it goes back to the first start. So if we go to the finish line, first of all, let's go to the next backdrop like this. If we click the finish line, let's go to when flag is clicked. We want it to forever if, and we want to drag out 2 ifs, okay? We want to drag out 2 ifs, and then this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. We want to go to operators, and then go to, and drag it out 2 equal signs, okay? We want to, in the first equal sign, type 1 in the right space, and then for the second one, type in 2 in the right space. Drag 1 into the first if, and drag 2 into the second if. Next, you're going to want to go to looks, and go down a little bit, and then go to the backdrop number, duplicate that. You're going to want 2 backdrop numbers, and then drag it into the left space of each one. This checks that if when the green flag is clicked forever, which means it checks forever if this is happening. If the backdrop number, the backdrop number equals 1, then we want it to do something. Same with number 2. And what we're going to go is going to go to motion and grab the first coordinates. Do not move the flag. Grab the first coordinates. Make sure it's at the first level's coordinates for the flag, okay? So mine is negative 160 and y12. So we're going to want to drag that into the first one. And then what you're going to want to do is go back to the player screen and move the flag wherever you want your second level finish spot to be. I'm going to put it right there. And then as you can see, the coordinates will change right there, and the coordinates will change on the go to. So grab the go to out and put it right there. Now you can pause the video whenever you want just to make sure that something's happening. Make sure you save your project frequently so that nothing happens to it. So now if we go here and we hit the flag, it'll teleport us back to the start. Go to the next level and move the flag to a new spot. And now and we can see that if we press the flag again, it will move the flag again back to its original spot. So it's constantly checking. This way we don't have to do any. This is pretty basic, but if you're just starting, if this is the first time you've ever done Scratch, this should help. Okay. So now we're gonna make a third level, and we can in this way you can actually stamp out levels pretty quickly, because if you just keep duplicating levels, you can easily make new levels that are new, make new levels. So I'm just gonna make a new level really quickly here, and you can make a new level too. Remember, I can't say this enough, it really doesn't have to look good at the start. And trust me, it really doesn't matter. Look, mine is horrible and it still works just fine. Still works just fine. Alright, so I've created level 3, and then all we have to do, this is literally all we have to do. All we have to do is duplicate one of these, change the number in here to 3 or whatever level you're on, take out the go to, drag the flag to the new spot you want the new finish line to be in, and then you just have to grab the go to again. Make sure the coordinates are right where the flag is. It will always show you where the sprite is right here. Make sure you have the right coordinates, and then drag it into the if. So now we have 3 levels, perfectly functional. But it's not really a hard game, is it? All you do is you go around the map. There's no way you can lose here. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce you to something called a variable. So if we go to variable, what a variable basically is, think of it as like a box, and it can store some numbers or things inside it that could mean something. If you make a sprite, make a sprite, or the backdrop make it mean something. So we're going to go to make a variable, and we're going to call it timer. Alright, and make sure you select for all sprites, because we want it to be for all sprites. For this sprite only, it won't show up for it won't do anything for any other sprites. So click OK, and as you can see, we have our timer sprite right here. So we want this to do is we want it so that you have only a certain amount of time to get to the end of the level. So let's say maybe you have 30 seconds. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set, go to the top and set timer to 30. That means when you start the game, it sets the timer back to 30. Okay? And then we want to, and then when we touch the finish line, we go to the next backdrop. We also want to set timer to 30. And right now this doesn't matter because all you're doing is setting the timer to 30. It does not change anything, and we want to set this to timer. It doesn't change anything, it's just setting this number right here to 30. Okay, but we want to make this mean something, where if the timer runs out, then you lose. So what we're going to do is create and drag out an when clicked, all right, when the flag is clicked, we want to go to forever, and then you want to grab a wait 1 second, and then go to variables and change timer by -1. So what this is doing is not -5, that would not be good. -1. So what this is doing is basically every second it will make the timer go down by 1. Make sure it's a negative, because then it will just keep going up. So now if we go, as you can see, the timer every second goes down by 1, and then when we restart when we hit the flag, it sets back to 30. This is great because it can add actually a challenge, and you can make it just you can change it by just changing this number right here and this number right here to the same numbers. And boom, we have a kind of game. It's a little bit easy, but you just go around and you do the thing. And right now, this could be your game. But right now, if we wait 30 seconds, which is what I'm going to do. So right now, if we want to wait 30 seconds, it'll actually go into negative numbers. And nothing will happen if you reach 0. It'll just go into negative numbers because you're not telling it to do anything if it gets to 0. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out yet another, see, look at this. It goes into negative numbers. So we're going to drag out yet another when flag clicked. And you might be wondering why don't we just use the same code? It just looks nicer, and it just organizes it better. It organizes the chunks where your code is and what it's doing better. And actually you can click on any block and add a comment, and you could say this is the timer, and it would help you. And you don't have to do that. I don't ever do that, but you could. Just it's there. So we want to, when flag is clicked, we want to go forever, and then we want to drag an if, and then we want to go to the operators, and we want to do if less than, and less than is like an arrow pointing left. It's L for less. And then, so if we drag that in there, we want to do if it's less than 1. If our timer equals less than 1, then we want it to lose. And why do I say less than 1 and not 0? Because we want it to stop at 0, not -1. So if the timer is less than 1, then we want to stop the game. And in order to do that, we need to go to the stage, and we wanna go to backdrops, and we wanna go to paint, and then we wanna go to backdrops, and we wanna make a game over screen. So let's make a game over screen. Game over. And you can customize this however you want. I'm just gonna do game over, and it really doesn't have to look good, okay? Alright, game over. Okay, so let's go to game over, and when the timer is less than that, we want to switch backdrop to the game over screen, which is backdrop 4. And you can even go here, and if it makes it easier, you can name this game over, and then it'll say in the code game over instead of backdrop, just so it makes it easier. And this actually is really good. You should do this. I'm not doing this, but switch back to the game over. So now let's test it out. Let's wait till the backdrop is less than 1, and let's actually, to speed this up, we can actually set timer to, like, let's say 5 seconds, and then we can just click on it to activate the code. So let's see. 2, 1. Alright, game over. First of all, the timer doesn't stop, and you can still move around with this stuff. It doesn't do anything. So what we're going to want to do is, first of all, we want to make so the timer thing timer here goes away, because we don't want it to stay there while the game over. It just doesn't look good. So we're gonna go show. We're gonna grab show variable timer, and we don't. Let's not have this here. Here we go. Okay, so we want to show variable timer. So at the beginning of the game, it will make this number show up, and then if the timer is less than 1, we want to hide the variable timer. So there we go. That's our first thing. It will now hide the variable timer when the game goes to game over. So next we want it so that we want it to make it so that all the players, all the sprites, the finish line, and the player just goes away, and then we want to stop the game. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to broadcast. We're going to broadcast message, and we're going to name the new message game, or let's call it hide, because we can use this message again. We'll use this message again. So we'll call it hide. And so if you broadcast it to all sprites, to all backdrops, to all sprites, and if you drag this out, it will receive the message. So we're actually going to use this, believe it or not. And when we receive hide, we want to go to looks, and then we want to we want to hide. This will just make the sprite disappear. But in order for this, we don't want it to hide forever, because it will hide forever if we do it once. So we're gonna go to the first script at the beginning of the game, and we're gonna go to show. So we're at the very beginning of the game. It's gonna show your sprite, and then we can also drag this thing and drag it into the finish, and it will just put this code into the finish. So when I receive hide, we want it to hide, and then we're all obviously want to hit say show at the beginning of finish. All right. So now we want to also go into control, and then wait 0.0001 seconds. And the reason we're doing this is because we want the computer to have time to make everything hide before we actually before we stop the game. And the computer can do this in that amount of time, but you just always want to do that, and it's just like a buffer. That amount of time is inconceivable to the brain, so you won't notice the difference. And then we just want to drag this out and hit stop all. That will stop the game. It will stop the script. It will stop everything. So now if we just play the game, and once again we can go to variables and then set timer to 5, and then just click on it, and boom, it will set it to 5 seconds, so we don't have to wait the 30 seconds. And boom, game over. Nothing will work. The game just stopped. Everything's gone. And then if we start the game again, it will activate everything else, and then we'll win. But it's still not a very fun game, because you can't win. You'll just loop around every single game. We want to make it so that there's a way for the player to win, because it's not a very fun game if you can't win. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to stage, and we're going to create a backdrop, and we're going to call it, let's say, you win. So we're going to call it you win, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that that the you win is before the game over. Otherwise, you're going to get the game over sign when you lose. When you win. So we want to go to you win, okay? And then we make sure it's backdrop number 4, not number 5. Swap these out. So we want this to be called win. And then we want to go to this finish line again, and we want to duplicate this again, and then instead of backdrop number 4, aka this is backdrop number 4 is actually the win screen, and make sure it's outside other if statements, because that will also mess up your code. We want to go to events, and then broadcast hide. What we did this again was it'll make all the things hide. That's what we did for the game over screen, and it will stay here. You can still broadcast hide. And then we want to end the game. That's pretty much it. Oh, and also we also wanna hide the variable. So we want to hide my timer, and also, like I said before, we want to add that weight 0.0001, just so it's just a buffer. I'm pretty sure it doesn't affect it very much, but it's just like a nice thing to do. It's just there, so it's like a buffer. It's like a make sure nothing bad happens. So let's save the project and start the game. Okay, start the game again. Sometimes it glitches like that, but anyway, let us go. Oh, one more thing. We want to switch backdrop to backdrop 1. That just make sure that's happened, because otherwise, yeah. So let's go, and if we start the game, and then we hit the flag, the timer will start over. If the timer hits 0, then we lose. And then if we finish the level again, we will send out a message that will make everything teleport, and then if we finish this last level, it will go to you and everything will disappear and the game will stop. This is just a little video that I made. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it helped you with your first Scratch project. And if there's bugs, it really doesn't matter, because the whole point of this was to help you get into the start of Scratch. And if there's bugs, then you can try and fix it, but really don't worry. You'll get better at fixing the bugs. You'll get better at not even having the bugs. I just really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it helped you start getting used to Scratch. Drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Scratch tutorial.